And speaking of structure, the system.
Yeah.
You want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm a communist. Yeah, for sure. But
and that's most people wouldn't have the courage to say that. So I applaud you for that. So
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So people don't like communists, right?
Yeah.
I understand why. I'm not like ignorant to it, but
explain why though. Like why
I'm a communist. Why I'm a communist? Yeah, sure. Okay.
Why that belief developed and
how that belief developed is interesting. Sure. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 714 Podcast. I'm here with Hassan. How's it going?
I'm all right. I'm great. You know.
Yeah,
it's a hot day, but it's all good. I got my
early
water.
Morning too.
Yeah, I mean, it is early, but I don't really feel tired or anything.
Yeah,
because I think I've been conversationed up, so I'm all good.
Yeah, I know. Every time we do a podcast, like literally with anyone, I'm talking with them
on the
hour
way here
before. Yeah, on the way here.
You're
like we carpooled here together. And
thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah, and we always talk for like an hour, and people are always saying people that come on say that you should record that part.
Should have recorded that part. I mean, we were talking about a lot of stuff. Of shit.
Like right before this.
Yeah.
What were you saying? The breath. You said something about breath control.
Oh, yeah. So your body, this is true. Your body, you don't need to know. Right. You don't need to try to breathe. You don't have to like think about breathing when you breathe. Right. Mm-hmm. Your body automatically does it for you.
Yeah.
And the secret like intention behind me doing that is it's a trick that my brother did on me, because when he told me that, I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, I don't need to breathe.
And then you start thinking,
stop trying to breathe, stop thinking about breathing. And then all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. And I was like, dang, now I got to put effort into trying to breathe.
Yeah.
He did that on purpose. And I was like, damn, that's so funny though.
Yeah, that's funny.
Back then I was like pretty mad at him about it, because I was thinking, dang, I'll never be able to breathe normally again.
Yeah.
And I was going to die in my sleep.
Yeah.
Because I can't think about
it. You have to think about every breath to breathe. That would be crazy. I wouldn't want to live if that was the case. That sounds
exhausting to the point where, is life even worth living if I have to put that much effort into it?
Into being alive.
I can't, because then I have to think about breathing in between bites of food, you know?
You can't even have a conversation, I think, because in conversation, you're thinking about things you want to talk about.
Yeah, and then the conversation.
You can't even breathe. You can't breathe if you don't think. But luckily, that's not the case. Mm-hmm. We got it lucky.
We can, yeah. So just try to think about something else in the meantime. You know, man.
Yeah.
What else did we talk about? We also talked about like okay, we talked about like quotes.
Quotes. Yeah.
Because you had a quote on your Instagram, but you don't. Do you remember who it was from?
I don't know exactly who it's from, but I think what did it go like? Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get.
Yeah. And that was a good ass quote. You know what I mean? Because it reminded me of a description of happiness and joy from this person who I don't remember. And I don't remember the context of
I know. We should remember these people's quotes. We should.
Bro, I mean, we use the quotes. The least we could do is remember the people. But at the end of the day, right? Is it not impressive, right? That these quotes managed to outlast the quoters. You know, the people who say these things. The ideas of them. The ideas go like the idols or the individuals are, not here forever, but the ideas are forever, you know? Like, like Bhagat Singh, anti-colonial revolutionary in India. He once said when he was about to be sentenced to death for fighting against British colonialism, one of his last words, or one of the last things he said, was that you can kill me because I'm just an individual, but ideas last forever. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of religious texts, you look at philosophers that hundreds of years old, and we still manage to reference them today. Like, and I think it will forever be referenced because the ideas are what's important.
True. And do you think that like we're forgetting the names of the people we're quoting sometimes? Like not out of disrespect, it's just I legit just forget to look these people up, and I bad.
Have so many fucking quotes in my mind.
Legitimately apologize for it, but
and sometimes I pick a quote that I know, like, okay, I think I heard about this, and then I say the wrong person's name,
and I'm like,
God
quote,
damn.
and I'm pretty sure I did kind of rephrase that Bhagat Singh quote. I'll have to look it up later. But like it was
but you get the
general
gist of it.
ballpark was there.
Yeah, we
but
get
like,
the gist of it.
I was gonna say, do you think that like eventually we could get like people like recite entire like passages from people, right? But then like in the future, like the names will be something that eventually like dissipates over time, like erodes and stuff, you know?
I mean, I'm glad the internet has brought light to it. With the internet, we're always trying to seek the truth.
Yeah.
Right. We're trying to seek factual information. And so
trying
the best as we can. And with that, like the people that might have quoted something or that has been referenced, now it's getting tied to the person that actually did it. And hopefully it stays around that way, that nobody forgets the person.
Yeah, that's a good point. The internet's like an archive and like something that like a tool that we can use to try to uncover things and like reconnect things.
Yeah,
like,
reconnect.
Like puzzle pieces, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
There's this figure and there's this quote.
Yeah.
And
also,
who
you want to
said
take
this? Sorry, my bad.
You had the mask on. I didn't realize.
Yeah, you know, actually, it's just what I do instead of putting it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because I just have it around in case like there is a place that has like a mask mandate or something.
Nowadays,
plus, honestly,
that's not
I do think the mask looks kind of cool. I got it from my friend Rovan. Shout out to Rovan if you're watching this.
Yeah.
He was my roommate in back at UCR. North District. I moved out of that apartment. I'm staying at a different place now. But he gave me this mask. He had a Bosco-Foley's mask. So it's like my way of remembering him. So
yeah, shout out. What's his name again?
Rovan.
Shout out.
Rovin. That's his Instagram too, if you type that in.
Give him a quick shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Rovan, dude. Appreciate you, Rovan. I hope you're doing good. Hopefully we hang out this summer. If not, I'll see you next year. Yeah.
See you next year.
Yeah. But yeah. No, wait. Speaking of college, how's college been for you?
It's been pretty good. Nowadays I'm more interested in the real world of stuff, real world environments and stuff like that.
Like outside the campus.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been in school for what, like since 3-4 years old.
If you count preschool, 3-4. But if you don't want to count preschool, like 5, right?
5, yeah.
So 5 till now, you're like 20, right?
21, yeah.
21, yeah. Okay, so then that's 16 years for you.
Yeah.
17 years for me because I'm 22.
Okay.
Going to my last year of college.
Yeah. Dude, it's been a long ass time, and you realize that the majority of your life has been spent in school.
In school, thus far, yeah. I mean. Eventually, right? Okay, so people will say you probably spend more time at work than you do in school. Like eventually, right? I mean, if you work like a menial job, if you don't work like a high salary job, I guess, and you don't need to retire.
And if you like live that long.
Yeah, live that long. Oh, yeah, that's another one. Yeah, that's another factor. But I do want to say that I think school has a bigger impact on you, in my opinion, because those are like your developmental years.
Definitely.
They're your prime developmental years. They're like, you know, like scientists say that the majority of the brain's development, right, happens, or like the biggest amount of development happens during your first 5 years. So like, where do you spend your first 5 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in daycare and preschool or in kindergarten, you know.
That's definitely important because you realize how much is already ingrained. You pick up, that's why kids can learn like multiple languages, right? Yeah. They have something in them, which I recently learned like within the past like 2 years. It's called the subconscious mind, meaning that part of your mind is purely based on habit and what thoughts you think the most.
You know what?
Right?
I think I learned this stuff in my philosophy class. I don't think it was, I did. My philosophy teacher told me about like the conscious mind, the subconscious mind and stuff. I just remember it from the term.
It's a wild idea.
There's so much stuff that I learned that I wish I retained, but it's because I learned it like later in life rather than earlier. Because I can speak 2 languages, right?
Yeah.
English and Urdu. Because I grew up in an Urdu speaking household. Yet, because I live in America, I was exposed to everybody speaking English, right?
Yeah.
But because I was exposed to it during my primal developmental years,
you still
I was able
hold on to it. Yeah.
You know, like Khabib, there was this comedian that was interviewing Khabib after a fight. Oh, Khabib. Yeah. Everyone knows who Khabib is here, right?
UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully you know who Khabib is because I don't feel like explaining it. But anyway, Khabib was being interviewed by this comedian, right? He was just joking around with him, right? He was like, oh, do you think I could be a UFC fighter, right? Do you think you could train me and stuff? And then Khabib didn't know it was a joke, right? So he was being serious. He was like, no, I don't think you can. You're he's like, how old are you? And he was like, oh, I'm 28. He's like, you're too old.
Yeah.
And like 28's not old, but like it's too old to, I guess, learn like the type of fighting that Khabib does. Cause Khabib, bro, he did it since he was young.
Yeah.
And also
Since
if you want to be a fighter,
kid.
you have to train for any type of athlete. Typically, I'm not discouraging people that want to get fit like today, but like athletes, like career athletes, majority of the time, they start training when they're really young, like their parents get them into it and stuff. Like they put them in gymnast classes, or wrestling classes at like 5 years old, you know? And then that's when they learn and they grow from there, because that's when their brains like develops the most. That's where it's like the most susceptible to like these methods and tactics and stuff. And Khabib, bro, he was like dead ass wrestling bears at like 13.
I saw that video.
You saw that video. It's not made up. Like the region, I apologize, I don't remember the specific region he was born, but like he was in a Russian area, right?
Yeah.
But in his specific area, all the little boys there, like they have like families that want them to get into like UFC wrestling or UFC fighting. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it was just martial arts in general.
Yeah. So like, you know, because it's like a career advantage, you know? So it's like, part of the training that he did was that he actually fought a damn bear. You know what I mean? So, but he did that when he was young. I mean, it was a smaller bear, but it's still a bear.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still impressive to fight a bear at any age, I think. Unless you're like kicking a cub at like 30.
Yeah.
But like besides that, yeah, dude, that's crazy. But like,
I know you have to develop some things at a younger age, and you see the difference it makes, especially with athletes, right? If you start at a young age of doing it, and we talked about before, like repetition is the mother of skill, right?
Yeah. Another quote that we can't find who said it.
Fuck it. I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
But that repetition starting at that young age builds skill over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And especially in UFC and martial arts, your goal is to become better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So that you could win no matter who it is.
No, absolutely.
And if your skills are better than everybody else, then most likely you'll win. Yeah. And he showed that. Like
he did that. I mean, I doubt many people he fought actually had fought a bear in their earlier years. Yeah. So he had that advantage over him.
He's one of the most he was one of the most dominant people. He retired.
Number one. His dad passed away.
Yeah.
And one of the things his dad told him was that if you become number one, just retire, because you have nowhere left to go, or like it's the peak, right? Yeah. So he did that. He honored his father's wishes. I think there's some new up and comers in the UFC like ranks, you know, that will hopefully succeed Khabib and like what he's achieved. But I know
there's Ngannou, right?
Ngannou, yeah.
And who's a Stylebender? Yeah, he's also one of my favorites to watch. Like,
do you know that there was I don't remember. Actually, no, I wasn't UFC. Actually, it might have been. No, I wasn't. No, there's a fighter. I think it is a UFC fighter who like watches a lot of anime and stuff, and then he always does like an anime thing, like in his fights, like an anime pose or something.
That might be Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, his name is Israel. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I mean,
he always does like random flips and shit.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, like, hey, he has a passion for something and he brings it into his other passion. I mean, I gotta respect it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of anime, to be honest with you, but it's still cool that if you do like it, then you were able to bring it onto like something else. Yeah, I respect it. There was another guy, like a surfer, who shaved his head, like most of his head into the pattern of an arrow, right? So his hair is in the pattern of an arrow.
I might have seen that.
And then he spray paints that arrow blue. So he could look like the Avatar from Avatar Last Airbender. Dead ass. And I was like,
is he a professional surfer?
He came number one in his gold medal thing. It was Olympics surfing.
Oh, okay.
So I was like,
yeah, that's dope.
That's impressive too.
I recently, speaking of surfing, I recently saw a video of this place in Portugal. I don't know if you've heard about it.
To Portugal,
but it's this. I forget the exact. It starts with the N or some shit. The city. But that city is now worldwide famous, known for surfing because the waves are over 100 feet in the air.
Damn.
Like I looked at the videos. I was like, how is that real, bro?
Yeah. How would you do that? Like, I mean, like, Jeez, the balls that do that. Jeez. Man, because like I go to the beach and when there's like a 20-foot wave, I'm like dipping. Like I'm like, as soon as a 20-foot wave start hitting, I'm like, I'm like trying to swim back to shore.
Even a 5 foot, even like 8 foot is like it's big as fuck.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's like, it's scary, bro. It's freaking water coming at you like in that form, rushing, and then it hits you in the face. It's like, but you know, it's like, that's really cool, but like, again,
it's crazy.
It's, I don't know, it's a little tense.
I know.
It's like one of those things. Like, I think I would sooner jump out of a plane than ride a wave that big.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why, but like maybe realistically, jumping out of an airplane.
How water is something that you cannot control at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the ocean. I think everybody that's been in the ocean can attest to
the fact that it's hard.
That when you get pulled in, let's say you're bodyboarding or you're surfing or you're just swimming and a wave comes crashing down on you, you literally cannot do anything when you're in that.
No, I mean, like I've gone boogie boarding in like waves like that with some of my friends who were a bit more enthusiastic than I was about the waves. And then it's hard to like manage. It's hard to like ride those dang waves. It's like to navigate it and like. The bigger waves, and it's again like water. The reason it's scary is it's harder to you can't control it unless you're a goddamn waterbender. Right? But like it's and because now I know why surfing scares me more than skydiving. Skydiving, you do it with a parachute. If you're not insane, you do it with a parachute.
You also have a backup.
You have a backup. You have other people doing it with you. There's precautions to it. There's like training for it. There's training for surfing too, but you can't control the waves. You can control yourself, but you're not more powerful than a wave. I don't care who you are. You're not more powerful than a wave. So you can't control when the wave's gonna like hit and stuff like that, and like when it's gonna fold, when it's gonna dissipate. It's like people make their best estimations when they surf, their best calculations. But I think I've seen interviews. They say it's like largely like a gut feeling or something. Yeah,
definitely.
It's like, so I respect anybody who surfs. And if you want to correct me, like, there is a formula to figure out when and where a wave will strike.
I'm definitely not a surfing expert.
I'm not an expert either. So, definitely feel free to correct me. I'm a novice at this completely.
I'm just amazed actually, like for the most part, really, about people who do crazy shit like that. Even like who would imagine to surf 100-foot wave? Like
to envision that alone, not alone do it.
Like
just envisioning that.
You see it, and then very few people think of going in the water when you see that.
People when in movies when they see like 100-foot wave or like a 50-foot wave or whatever, they run. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like imagine running towards it when other people are running away from it. It's like that scene from Batman v Superman where Ben Affleck's Batman's running into the smoking building after everyone else is running away.
Yeah,
it's a weird reference. I know. But like, it's like first thing that came to mind. But speaking of crazy stuff, like, is there something crazy that you haven't done yet that you are considering doing? Like something like, say, life-threatening, not life-threatening, but like life-risking. All right, like
I mean,
like a little bit skydiving thing or something. Would you consider it?
I do want to do skydiving.
You do want to do skydiving?
Like, I'm not afraid of heights. I know some people are like extremely afraid of heights.
I'm really afraid of heights.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not afraid of heights, and I'm not afraid of doing skydiving at all. Like maybe when I'm there, when I'm in the plane, I'll definitely be nervous. Of course, but the adrenaline's gonna come up. But as I'm sitting right here, I would literally go today.
You would go today, skydiving? Yeah. Like, okay, if someone comes in the room with like a fully like jumpsuit, he's like, hey, this was a surprise.
If it's for free, like,
as a free trip too? Yo, actually my roommates were talking about like, in the summer we should go skydiving. And I was like, y'all have fun.
Uh-huh.
I was like, Rovin and like Howie, Justin, they were like, we should go skydiving. And then I was like, nah, dude, I'm deathly afraid because I don't like heights. We lived in the 4th floor of the building, right? And like
of your apartment.
Of my apartment. That was a top building, and I was thinking to myself, okay, this is fine. Like this height, I wouldn't want to go past this, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like,
so even if you lived in like New York, you can't live in
skyscraper. If I had to, like if it was like no other option, I just wouldn't go by the window most times. I literally put my bed in like the opposite corner of the window and stuff. You know? Like, but like, like heights really don't do it for me. Or they do it for me in the worst way. But like, so like, and they were like, oh dude, skydiving's not that bad. Like they were like, would you rather Cause like, you know, I talked to them about like some of my like fears, right? So then they were like, okay, well then, would you rather skydive or have an arranged marriage? Because they know that like, because they know that like in my like culture, right, there's like a lot of arranged marriage and stuff, and they're like, I'm not like super stoked for that either. So then they were like, oh, would you rather do that? And I was like, honestly, I think I'd take the arranged marriage because like, dude, it's just like it's not like necessarily that I'm afraid of dying more than anything because eventually we are all gonna die.
Yeah.
It's just the
That's
fact that
something you gotta work on too, though.
Yeah, like, if you are afraid of it, I get it. I mean, like I was too. At this point, I'm not saying that I'm gonna jump out of here right now.
Yeah, like you want to die right now.
I'm just saying that like I've accepted that it is a reality. Yeah, like eventually everyone's going to die. You know?
And you literally never know when it's gonna happen.
Yes, like
you think it's life. Today. You might happen today. You might get hit by a bus today. You might get hit by
you could be eating. No, it doesn't even have to be that dramatic as the thing. You could be eating a sandwich while listening to this, and God forbid you start choking. I hope no one dies that way now, actually. Please don't. I will feel really bad. Please drink some water, whatever you're eating with, you know. Just like, come on.
Somebody's eating a peanut butter jelly right now.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Like that, yeah. Hey, grab some milk if you're doing that right now. Don't swallow it. Just grab the milk. Intolerant? If you're lactose intolerant, get water then. If you're allergic to water, you were talking about the lactose thing. Yeah. I was because like so much stuff. Milk is so much stuff, but like milk is in a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about that earlier too.
Yeah,
and
that was like one of the first conversations.
The first thing when I got into your car, we were talking about like, like I said that my eyes are kind of red right now because I have seasonal allergies. I'm highly reactive to like pollen and like particles in the air that are like
seasonal.
See, they're seasonal allergies. And there's nothing I can do about it. Well, there is. I could take medicine for it and reduce it somewhat, and I could take eye drops for it. Thing is, I don't because I don't really care. It's not like this is the worst of it. Like I never.
I mean, right now it's not that red.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not red. Not that red, right? But like it's a little red. And the thing is that I don't. It doesn't hurt. You know, it doesn't hurt me at all. It doesn't like. It's literally just an aesthetic thing. It's pure optics. But like, if I was allergic,
is your vision like
no? My vision is not impaired, not blurred, not obscured in any way, shape, or form. Right now, I can see that water bottle. I can see you. I can see the camera. I can see the flask. I can see everything in here. But if I was allergic to something like milk or butter, I feel like things would probably be. I would have to avoid more things. You know, because I didn't realize butter was in so much things. Then I went to my apartment and I cooked myself more. Right.
Yeah.
I was like, you have to butter the pan and stuff.
Butter the pan.
You have to butter the pan.
Butter's in a lot of baked goods.
Yeah.
As well.
If you make brownies, my roommate made brownies one time. Like if you make brownies, if you make cookies,
all
anything.
That shit.
It's like really important. Yeah, and even if you're just frying something, you know, you butter the pan up. So and like it's just so integral to a lot of food.
I know.
Like, so if you are allergic to butter, if you're allergic to dairy products like milk, it's just. It's a
hassle. Yeah, like for life, really.
I mean, I'm grateful for you, but I'm grateful.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I am interested to know how you get around that. Like, how would you? Like, I'm genuinely intrigued, you know, because vegans don't eat meat, you know, and they have all sorts of alternatives and stuff like that. It's like they like make stuff out of like flour and tofu and like, you know, non-meat, non-animal products, and it's like interesting the way they get around stuff. So I'm like. They can eat pasta, right? Yeah, there's no animal on its own. I thought about that sometimes. And then like I actually asked one of my vegan friends one time, oh, you guys can eat pasta, right? And they were like, yeah, of course, you idiot. You know? And I was dead ass thinking, I know, I'm sorry. It sounds like a stupid question, but I forget how much
eat
stuff.
Pasta with like meat sauce and stuff like that. They had
obviously.
So they had to ration it to a specific way of making it.
Yeah. So then like.
I don't think anybody eats just plain pasta.
No, on its own. On its own. I put tomato sauce on it at least.
Sauce. Yeah,
but
I gotta have something.
Yeah, it's just starch then on it. Just eating starch, which is terrible. Just why would you do that? But one time I was eating pasta and then like my mom was like, "Here, put some like meat in it." And I was like, "Nah, I'll just eat it like this," because I really like pasta. And she was like, "No, you're just eating starch, dude. It's just starch. There's no health benefits to that on its own.
It's just carbs.
It's just carbs and starch."
The thing about carbs is. You could eat a bowl of pasta and within 30 minutes you'll be hungry again because it doesn't
like very quickly.
It
doesn't transfer into energy.
Yeah, quickly. It doesn't. Yeah. nothing happens to it.
Nothing happens
You
to
only
it.
eat it because it tastes good. Italian food's one of my favorite foods.
I love food that derives from Italy. Right?
Pizza,
but it's
pasta.
I will say this though. I was reading a history lesson about pizza in an 8th grade class. I don't remember what the hell that class was about. It was not a history class, I can tell you that
They
much.
just started talking about pizza.
No, it was like, no. There was like this thing we had to read and then we had to answer questions. It was like a reading comprehension thing.
Oh, okay.
Like a reading comprehension test. But then I read this article that I then had to, do some like multiple choice questions for afterwards. And the article was about like the history of pizza.
Yeah.
So it was like basically, and how pizza got to America essentially, right? So there was like a bunch of soldiers during World War I or II. I don't remember.
Probably either one of those. But I think one makes more sense because it's earlier in time.
Yeah.
I think pizza was around.
Yeah. So it was like that. And then like American soldiers, when they were stationed in Italy, they helped themselves to local cuisine, and that was pizza. And then when they came back, a lot of them were like, shouting about pizza.
Yeah.
That's what I gleaned from the article.
Now pizza,
okay?
I think, is like one. Yeah. I think the world's most popular food.
Yeah. But pizza was different back then. Like there wasn't, it's like you couldn't recognize it as pizza back then. So like basically there was no like meat or cheese or toppings or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely not.
And
I went to Naples actually, the city where they make, or it was originated pizza. And me and my family went into the restaurant, one of the most famous restaurants, to get the Napoli pizza. Naples pizza.
Yeah.
And so you go in there and they don't have any menu, and they come to you and they said, do you want cheese or no cheese? That's it. Or
So cheese wasn't a given,
Yeah.
See, like I'm like a bit of a plain Jane, you know what I mean? Like my preferred pizza, honestly, most of the time is just cheese pizza.
Yeah.
That's for most of my life. So I would have definitely said cheese if I were you.
Yeah, I know. I did. I mean, all it is they have the sauce, right? Like what Naples pizza is known for is like the way the dough is. The dough is fermented, and like the quality of it is just like, it's the best pizza I've ever had. And I can't find anything close to it over here.
It's not comparable,
it's
right?
Not comparable.
I was going to say that, like, I heard, right? Actually, no, I didn't hear. I know that there is square-shaped pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I keep being told. Yeah, in New York, too.
New York, yeah.
And I keep being told that this type of pizza is better and superior to the triangle shape.
But here's the other side, yeah. When you get the square shape, right? You get a large square.
Yeah.
It's cut into squares.
Yeah.
The only places where you get the crust are on the outside. So if you go inside, you get no crust.
It's just a flat cheese and bread.
Cheese. Man. That's what the kicker is.
Well, that's interesting. I'm thinking, all right, just go for the corners quickly then.
Yeah.
Grab friends over, just grab the corners. Yeah, I mean, like,
then you get no crust.
I mean, with cake, at least you eat it with a spoon on a plate, so you could get the centerpiece if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Again, always go for corners, guys. But
always, you gotta have a little crust.
No? Yeah. I mean, I like the crust. Yeah. I don't know. I guess crust gets a bad rap because some members of my family, not gonna call them out, but they do like eat like whenever they eat pizza, if they're eating like 2 slices or 3 slices.
Yeah.
What happens is they leave the crust behind and they just throw the crust away. And I'm just thinking, man, it's just so wasteful, bro.
Sometimes I don't like crust when it's done or when it's not done right. There's some where it's like really dry or it's really doughy and you don't want it. I don't want to be able to. I don't want to chug a water down. I totally
get that, man. I totally get that.
To just get down a piece of crust.
Even if I didn't like the crust, I'd still eat it and then just drink some water if it wasn't like good. You know, just to wash it down.
Yeah.
But like,
talking about pizza though, do you know Dave Portnoy, the guy who does One Bite pizza reviews?
Dave Portnoy.
No. Founded Barstool. Barstool Sports. Yeah.
No, I don't actually.
You don't know? Yeah, he started pizza reviews just randomly over, I think now he's been doing it for like 6 or so years, somewhere around there, like mid 2010s. He started doing it. And now he goes all around the country, all around the world.
Yeah.
Mostly in the East Coast, sometimes in the West Coast.
Yeah.
But he just reviews pizzas from literally every pizza shop there is, like
in the world.
In the world, yeah. Like
Dang.
he's
just
been
pizza
to
specifically.
Just pizza.
I know some food
and
channels
just cheese.
that do.
Just cheese pizza.
Just cheese pizza?
Yeah.
And he my kind of guy, actually.
He does one every single weekday. Every weekday you go on his channel right now, not a day missed.
Not a day missed. Not a day every missed. Single day?
Every single weekday.
How many years has he been doing this for every single weekday?
Close to 5 years, I think.
Close to 5 years, dang. So
5, maybe,
like, I don't know,
more.
Out of every, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Jeez. So, okay, so he does this all over the world then, huh?
Wherever he goes, like, okay. Mostly he lives in the U.S., right?
He mainly does the U.S.
Lives on the East Coast.
I guess there's a lot of pizza restaurants in the U.S. because if he does this every day for 5 years and he does this like, if he just did this in the U.S., I'd be thinking, dang, how many goddamn pizzas like places?
There's a lot of fucking places.
There's a lot of places, but like, wait, if it's like Pizza Hut, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same company, right?
Yeah.
So different stores will still have the same ingredients and items. Yeah. So would it count? Sorry, would it count if he went to one Pizza Hut in like Ohio and then went to another Pizza Hut in Idaho?
I think he only went to one Pizza Hut.
Yeah, like the whole thing. He counts that as one, right? Okay,
yeah,
that's what I was wondering about.
He went to Blaze Pizza.
Yeah.
And he hates LeBron. And LeBron is a part owner in Blaze Pizza, and he gave it a 0. Like he took like less than a bite, and then just like threw it on the ground.
That's funny as hell because I freaking love Blaze Pizza. I mean, the dough is soft as hell, all right, for sure. But some people like that soft texture. Mm-hmm. I just think the cheese is really well done, and I do like the oven texture and everything.
Yeah,
so I like Blaze Pizza. You know? Yeah, it's quick too. It's quick. Yeah. You get it faster. So I mean, yeah, it's probably not the best quality in the world, Blaze Pizza. Yeah. But if you want it,
it's like Chipotle but pizza.
You do it for the expediency.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so many pizza places out there that I didn't even know of until I started watching these reviews. And I don't know if you've heard about New Haven style pizza.
I have heard. Yeah, New Haven style pizza.
That's probably my favorite. I mean, I went there again in December. This past December, I was in New York, and my cousins, they live in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And it's a quick drive, like 3-hour drive to where they live, and then the next day it was like around Christmas time, I think, and we went to Sally's Pizza. Sally's a Pizza is what it's called.
Has Portnoy gone there?
Yeah, that's like one of the top scores.
It's
like it's in the 9s, and his scale is actually very difficult. Like even if it's a solid pizza, he never gives out like a 10. Yeah, you have to since
you have
he's
to be
done
really good to get the 9.
Yeah, you got to be really, really good. Like maybe a handful, maybe 10 places out of like the hundreds he's done is in the 9s, and everything else is like a 7. 7 is where most are, and then maybe some 6s, some 8s. But yeah, that Sally's is I think a 9.2 or something. And to him, it's his favorite, even though it's not the highest score. I think for him, it's his favorite.
And how did you like it?
I loved it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's you know how most ovens are just like with a fire.
Yeah.
But with Sally's, it's a charcoal oven. So you get that charcoal like flavor on the crust. Right.
Yeah. So it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's different, and I love it. Yeah.
Well, I know what to check out if I'm ever on the New Haven.
Yeah. There's literally that's like the one street that has good pizza. It's Worcester Street in New Haven, Connecticut. It's right next to Yale too. Yale is right there.
Yeah.
And if you literally walk a few blocks on the same street, there's another restaurant, Pepe's, that also makes pizza, and those two guys had a feud, like the actual Pepe's,
like a rivalry, sort of
rivalry.
Thing? Yeah.
Like Sally's, they knew each other as kids, but then over.
So it's a long time rivalry. It's a lifelong villain arc, bro. Dude.
Yeah, but now that both of them are dead.
Speaking of like rivalries between two food distributors, there was, I remember quite a while back, a dispute over turf between two ice cream vendors. One of them was Mr. Stuffy and one of them was Mr. Creamy. So what happened?
Well, that's a video.
Mr. Stuffy, Mr. Creamy? I mean, maybe, I don't think that's their legal names, but brand names? I mean, if it was their legal names, I mean, that's kind of, it's kind of like if I was named, like if your last name was economics, and he became a business major later in life. Yeah. Like, where else would you have? What if you done anything else? That would have been like, yeah, dude. If Mr. Creamy became a lawyer, I mean, geez, you know. But anyway, Mr. Creamy, and Mr. Stuffy, apparently were fighting over turf, right? You know, and then it got pretty heated. So one of them, I can't remember who, grabbed like a crowbar, and then he like, or some solid object, then he smashed the window of the other one, and then the other ice cream driver, in response, smashed his ice cream van into the other. He just drove it into the other one. And I was thinking to myself, dang, this must be like a really good spot for like kids to get ice cream, because they're fighting over it like a lot. They're risking a lot, you know, like monetary damages, they might jail time, you know.
The ROI on this must be insane.
They must have been like, dude, this is the spot, all right? Like, it's like right after
kids only come
right
here.
After, it's like the only place in the world that the kids would go, because that's where you'll get all the revenue, you know, all the freaking pocket change. But like, yeah, that just reminded me of that when you were talking about the feud between the two rival food vendors. I was like, dang,
it's so dumb how like there's some arguments that people have that to me personally, like the perspective I look at any arguing is why argue when two people that have different perspectives can just coexist,
have like a dialogue.
Yeah, have a dialogue. Just talk about it, and you don't even have to agree with the other side. You just have to understand where they're coming from, where their perspective is.
Yeah. I think understanding perspective is key to a lot of conflict
and that could
resolution.
Avoid literally 90% of conflict.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. That. Yeah, I mean, you could glean people's perspectives and stuff like that by understanding their position. You know what I mean? Yeah, like they're like where they literally stand and stuff like that.
Honestly, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Because we were talking.
You want to bring that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for asking. You know. All right. But like, yeah. Okay. So like, me and Shyam, we're both South Asian, right?
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, your parents are immigrants too, right? Yeah. So my parents are immigrants. His parents are immigrants. So we're both technically first gen born here.
Yeah.
We're like the children of first gen immigrants, or are we? Yeah. Because I always get confused if we're the first gen, but like, that's what it is. Yeah. And so like basically we're talking about like kind of the views that our parents hold that we don't necessarily hold. Typically, you know, our parents, they come from a different tradition, a different culture, so they hold different cultural values and different worldviews entirely, right? So like my parents, for example, like my family, they're a bit more, you know, reserved about things, you know. They're not as open about, you know, everything, like every single social issue and such, or like you know, and then whereas like us, right? Since we're in a newer environment than they are, we tend to want to be more, you know, open, more like, more free, for lack of a better word. I mean, free.
Independence. Like, our view of the world is just basically, as long as you allow other people freedom,
then should be allowed freedom
to think,
yourself, to like hold their own like, you know, perceptions of the world, and like, you know,
to say what they want to say, to do what they want to do. That's our perception, and not everybody has that.
Yeah, you know, it's like I was saying, like, you know, like we were talking like, oh, it may take time for them to get to like this level of acceptance of that sort of way of thinking, but like probably not. Because my thing is, we were also talking earlier about like, you know, how you develop the most at an earlier age. They spent their developmental years, their primary developmental years, and then some in like different countries with different, you know, cultural values, different standards, different norms, different cultural norms and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's not like, it's okay. So it's like, for example, like my family, like the culture thing is like, arranged marriage, and it's like not to like have extra, like not to like date or have, you know, like not to have romantic ties prior or outside of marriage, right?
Damn.
You know, that's like the thing. It's like, I don't hate, like, you know, I don't hold any resentment towards them for it or anything. I get it. You know,
that's their perspective. That's their belief.
You know, you grew up in a, you know, a different region of the world with different values. I completely get it. I don't expect you to shake off those values. Like just go like, oh yeah, sure. And then you just change it. That's not how like the human mind works. You know, the human mind takes time to develop. So it's since it takes time for someone to like
hold a belief,
to develop and create their worldview, it's gonna take time for them to shift their worldview. It doesn't happen with like one conversation or even like me just politely asking anything. So it's like, you know,
and even with that difference, you can understand. I'm glad you specifically can understand why they have that. Like you just said, like it's because of their culture and where they grew up, and like that affects them. And if I was born in that same place, I'd probably be the same way.
Yeah, I totally would too. Like, you know, if our roles were reversed where they grew up here and I grew up in Pakistan, I'd definitely be a different person. I'd probably be more conservative than they are, you know? They're not conservative, by the way. When I say conservative, when we're talking about it, we mean like social.
Not political.
Yeah, not political. Not like the political label. Like if someone is more reserved and like, I'll say, for lack of a better term, all right, close-minded. Yeah. More, you know, like they would like less sociability, like not, you know, when it comes to like the type of friends you have or whether you date or not, or whether you wait till marriage for things like, you know, sex. You know? It's like that would be having more conservative social views and then being more open and more freely sociable. Like if like, you know, you date more than like one person throughout your life, or you date people of the same gender or different genders or whatever, then you would be considered more liberal-minded or open-minded. That's what I mean when I use the term. Like, I'm not talking about like Democrat or Republican. I mean, like,
and the words that you're choosing.
In this specific situation, that's what I mean. Okay. So they're more conservative in the sense that they want to conserve their way of life, right? Their values. They want to conserve it in us.
That's what a lot of people do, I think.
Yeah. A lot of people, they want to conserve their way. Someone who's liberal would hold a view. They could hold views that are more traditional.
Or you mean conservative? You said hold view?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like someone could hold a view, right? That's like, you know, more like traditional, more conservative, more culturally oriented and stuff, but then still allow, you know, their kids to hold different views that are, say, more liberal or whatever. Yeah. And then that would be still technically the more open-minded way of going about things, you know? So that could happen, right?
Yeah, I think that personally for me, the reason why I am open-minded and I don't have literally any preconceptions about anybody whatsoever. The way I look at the world and I look at people is that I give them full faith and knowing that yes, there are people out there that can kill, that can murder, that can do horrible things. There are people out there like that, but there are also people that are kind, that care. Yeah. And who am I to judge someone based on like where they grew up? And maybe that's the only reason they're like that is because of their environment.
I was going to say that too. So, I was going to say that, you know, environment plays a big part in who the people become. I don't think anyone's born a murderer or born a psychopath or anything like that. I do think it's the way their environment shapes them. And I don't just mean like their political and economic environment. I think social environment also plays a part.
Definitely. Dude, you know I mean, your parents, not only your parents, but the friends, where you grew up
school,
around, like school, whether
and
you
sociology,
walk to school or
in sociology, we learned this term called socialization. So the type of society that exists goes through a socialization process. So like an individual is influenced by the people around them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the types of behaviors and attitudes that he'll adopt will be reflective of the types of behaviors and attitudes that exist outside him in the society he grows up in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like that's the term that's used to describe it. So we all go through a socialization process, you know. We meet people who are different, you know what I mean, than us, but like ultimately like the way we turn out.
And I think it's good it's good to meet different people because
I totally agree.
When you're only in this one bubble of thinking, then
it's like limited.
Yeah, it's limited in your perception. You don't even realize that there are different people out here that have different thoughts. And that's what I'm grateful for being born in this country, is that not one classroom that I've been in had the same ethnicity. Like no one student was like in China. If you go to a school there, pretty much everybody in that classroom is going to be Chinese.
Yeah,
pretty much like that.
Most of the time, there's like some international students. In China,
but like I saw like one video there.
Oh yeah, because it was like you know, it's interesting that you say that because when I'm not denying what you said. I'm sure it's true for the most part. But when I went to school,
nothing's like completely.
I was the only brown person in that class. There were other races, but I was the only brown person in my first grade class.
Yeah.
Like specifically South Asian. There were other races. Yeah. There were black people. There were white people. There were Hispanic people.
But that's what I mean. Like I'm glad that there's diversity because it allowed me to never think of a human being that's different.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
I don't,
for sure.
I don't think of.
I think it's like harder because like some people, if they haven't been exposed to like a person of a different ethnic or racial background, when they see them for the first time, they may have like very visceral reactions. It's not necessarily because they're trying to be offensive. It's literally the first time they're seeing it. They could be having offensive if they had like preconceived notions about it, like without ever seeing one. There's some parts of like the world that are like that, where like they're taught to view people that are different as like bad. But if they legitimately don't know, they weren't priorly informed of like a person's existence outside of that, they're not intentionally trying to be invasive or anything.
Astonished.
I think, that's the thing. So like, we're always talking about trying to understand people from like different perspectives. Like, the words that like could be used to articulate that is like empathy. We're trying to be empathetic of like other people's like, how their worldviews came about. So it's like, there was this tribe. Like you can look this up on YouTube for anyone, like literally just type the words, tribe sees white people for the first time. And it's literally a video of like, these indigenous that
have
peoples
never been contacted.
that uncontacted like peoples, right? That, and then this white, journalist and her white cameraman, they saw them for the first time. They found them. And then, like, I think what I assume is the chieftain, I'm just assuming it could just be just a member of the tribe, approached them with, like curiosity but caution. You know what I mean? That's how it started, like, curiosity but with caution. Like, what like, is this? That I'm gonna be hesitant.
They look human, but we've never seen them ever before.
They're like, they look human, but, like, what happened to their skin, you know? But, like, so then they approached them, and then, like, the journalist was also being hesitant, like still being careful, but like their job was to learn more. And eventually throughout the video was like 15 minutes or something. Eventually it's like, they're like, they're all good, like they all start like, talking to each other and then like not talking, but like communicating, I guess, to the extent that they
language.
can. To the extent that they can, they are like communicating, they're like vibing, for lack of a better term. They're like smiling and stuff like that, and then like that's where the video ends. I have no idea what happened afterwards. Someone in the comments said that the tribe eventually got displaced by like people because they found out they existed and stuff. I mean, if that happened, that sucks. I don't know, I'll have to do more research into that, but if that happened, that sucks. But like, but that's what I mean. It's like, because like it's not like they're trying to be like fearful or trying to like give off like, oh, we're, trying to like hurt your feelings or your sensibilities or anything. It's legit. It's just like a visceral reaction. You can't control it. It's a like shock even, like,
it's crazy.
So it's like that's the thing, we're trying to practice empathy with like people of different, worldviews and stuff like that. With my parents, I always try to practice empathy, because like, they don't want me, talking. Well, okay. So if I have like a girl over because we're working on a project together or something for school or something, like they're
chill about that, or not chill.
Not chill. They'll accept it, but probably begrudgingly. But like, they don't want, like, me and my brothers, they don't want us dating girls or doing any of that stuff.
You got to keep it quiet.
Got to keep it. On the
DL.
The DL, you can't be doing that, got to keep it on the, can't be, but like I was watching.
But that, like we talked about that earlier, it shows us things that we'll do differently for our children. Like,
it demonstrates like maybe you want your children to be a little bit more, like, another thing that we have, I get why they do this from their perspective. So it's like, it's like we aren't supposed to have. Well, actually, I don't know if it's like. I think it's just my parents. It might just be my parents because I don't even know if like other. I don't even think this is a cultural thing. I think it's just my parents. So basically, when I was a kid growing up, right, whenever my friends would have sleepovers, I would ask my parents if I could go. I'd always be told no, and then like they never ever in their life were descriptive with it. Like they never described in detail why. They just said, our children, and they were like very serious about this. Like,
Really?
It was like horror behind their eyes. They were like, our children will never have sleepovers like in this house or go to other people's sleepovers ever. Like they were really
to this day
about that. Yeah, to this day, you know, which is weird because I'm an adult now and I'm actually living in like apartments with roommates. So it's kind of like a sleepover. I actually told them that when I came back home for like the summer. I was like, you know, just like you know, small critique, you know, of the tactic, of the strategy, of the method, of the policy, right? Is that like I probably would have been like more prepared to like sleep in like, you know, a different environment with other people.
Yeah.
If I had sleepovers
to live around other people.
Or went to sleepovers, you know, because it's like, all right, it becomes like practice. You're not too nervous about it when it's like, you know, your first time sleeping in a different area, right?
Yeah.
With
other people.
I mean, with sleeping, like actually sleeping there, you know, with other people, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I told them that, right? I told them that, you know, they weren't too receptive to the criticism. But I was saying that like, okay, so one part of that makes sense, I guess, was that like, so I have a little sister, right? So they don't want guys sleeping over in the house because I have a little sister, right? And the logic was that other families have girls in their house, right? So they don't want me to sleep in that house because it's just like a respect thing. You're like a you know, girls and boys aren't supposed to, like, from their view, aren't supposed to, aren't supposed to be like in the same, unless it's like family members or whatever. That's it.
Yeah.
But besides that, nah. But like one time I told her that like dead ass one of my friends had a sleepover and it was just him and his dad are the only people that live in the house. I told him there are no girls there. It's impossible, right? Like unless one of like the other people brings their sister over for whatever reason, there's no way. But they still want to go for it. So that sucks.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's different perspectives. Like, what do you, when I used to be in the perspective of, I have to change these people, but now I'm in the perspective, or by change these people, I mean, change people who have different ideas. Like they should all believe what I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the perspective of, okay, you believe something different and I believe something different. And who knows? Like, I don't give a fuck what's right or wrong, but let me just understand that. And of course, I might not agree with that idea, but sure, I'll respect it for you.
No, absolutely. Like I respect that they really value this stuff.
Yeah,
I do. I 100%. If they believe this, like they hold these perceptions, I'm like, and these perceptions are really important to them, then I'm fine with it, you know?
Yeah. Then you grow older and have
the only
changes,
time I asked my parents, like the only time that they would be okay with me getting like into a relationship outside of like that they personally would be cool with is like if like I met a person of like the same exact faith. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. Religion.
Yeah, that was it. That's like a big thing for them. You know?
Okay.
Because they're worried that like, oh yeah, this is the thing they're worried about. And like, this is interesting. It's like the way they think, I think is kind of interesting. Is that they think that if people marry outside their faith, right, then they fear that the children won't be raised with the same faith. And then eventually like the faith will die out.
Oh, okay.
Like, because
I get that.
Yeah, my family is from a very specific sect, right? Okay. So that's why they're worried about that sect is smaller than like the whole faith.
Religion. Yeah.
So they're worried that sect will die off if they don't. You know, it's like I get that, I guess, but I'm just like, you know.
I think everything evolves. There's probably ideas. I mean, the Mayans used to kill people or kill children for blood, right? Like they would have blood I don't think rituals or something.
I'm pretty sure
Aztecs or something like that.
It was okay. So I think at first we were like when people were trying to translate the like depictions of like what the Mayans and Aztecs themselves recorded of what they were doing, we assumed that it was like mass sacrifice. It turns out that wasn't true, actually. And what happened originally, a lot of people think this at first, but what happened originally...
That's what's taught in school is pretty much like everybody gets that knowledge.
But what happened originally, right, was that a person of like high status within the area, they would do a ritual, not a sacrifice, where they would like draw some blood, right? Yeah. And then that would be like in hopes of a good harvest. But in very, very, very extreme cases, then they would like kill like one person, one sacrifice. Okay. But it wasn't like a systemic thing. There weren't mass graves or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
That was it. That was just something I learned. Yeah. So I was like,
I didn't know that.
Like that. But your point is that like ideas evolve over time.
Yeah, it always changes. It always adapts. And the more rigid you are, it seems like the more rigid you are into holding one thing, the more it's starting to change. Like the more it's going to fade out. It's if you're trying to keep it one thing. And so personally for me, I'm always learning different ideas from all different parts of life, every religion. I'm a student of, not because
you're a student of life.
I'm a student of life, but not because I want to be a part of certain religion. Like I don't look at religion for something that I have to be like identify myself as. I look at it as something I could learn from.
I actually think that's an awesome way to look at it. If you just see them as guides, as sources of knowledge, then you can pick up that knowledge. You know, you control the knowledge doesn't control you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's my perspective on it. And it's helped me tremendously. I've listened to parts of the Tao Te Ching, of Taoism, Taoism, of Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita, like and the Bible, the Quran, like all that shit. Like I haven't like read the whole fucking thing. I'm not much of a reader. But I listen to people talk about it. People who have sermons and such, like talk about these ideas. And that's what's brought me the most knowledge. Yeah. And what it's enlightened me in the fact that I realized most of it is the same thing. Most of it just talks about...
I noticed that actually. Is that like, when it's like a lot of the core tenets of like Islam, Christianity, Judaism specifically, they have a lot of overlap. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, people don't like to hear this. That makes them mad because they think like, no, we're the right one. But like,
there's no right.
I think even if there is a right one, shouldn't you be like happy that like what you're saying is still being conveyed and it's accepted by another group? Yeah. I feel like that should be a point of coming together. But then ironically, it's just like people are like, that's like, you know. Fuck. But it's like it's true though. Like you know, like I was learning about the origins of Christianity and like with the devil and stuff like that. And I was like, holy crap, this is what I learned in like Islamic Sunday school. Oh, okay. So I was like, it's like the same thing, you know? Shit, yeah. And then with like Adam and Eve, right? Mm-hmm. There's a story of Adam and Eve, and it's like we accept the same stuff. And it's like thing. Not even like there's like some differences. Like Jesus is also a prophet in Islam, by the way. He's actually the most quoted prophet in the Quran. Damn. Yeah. See, that's the thing. But like some Christians who don't like Muslims, right? Mm-hmm. They assume that like Muslims are like anti-Jesus or they don't know who Jesus even is, right? Yeah. The irony is that Jesus is a prophet in Islam, right? Yeah. So like, we learned about Jesus, we quote Jesus, we love Jesus and everything, but they assume that we're like, completely we hate Jesus or something. But it's not true. And again, this isn't all Christians. There's like my best friend in like second grade was a Christian, and he talked about religion a lot, and like he really cared about his religion. Like he was more religious than I was, for sure. Yeah. But like, I mean, we were friends.
Why do you think that is though? Like
that people
like for us, like we're both very free people in our ideology. We're not constricted to any belief. Like why do you think that has developed in us?
Probably like environmental conditions for sure. I mean, like, you know, social environmental conditions and stuff like that, political environmental conditions, economic environmental conditions. You know, there's a bit more again, because we're exposed to different, because we're a member of diaspora, right? So the South Asian diaspora. So like when we come to America, our the things we're exposed to are different, you know. So we get exposed to a whole plethora of plural ideas and stuff, you know? So those like plural notions and stuff like that, having like, because it's much easier to have someone set on a narrow path if they're just exposed to one thing. Like in Pakistan, if you go to Pakistan, you're more likely going to find a mosque than you are a church or a synagogue. There are churches and synagogues in Pakistan, but they're very few. There's not a lot, you know? But like in America, there's like all kinds of religions.
Freedom
like,
of religion is the First Amendment.
I'm not just talking about the major religions. You could probably find a new religion here that you didn't know existed. Like, dude,
that's the reason why people came here, though.
You know what Unitarianism is?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Bro, I found out literally yesterday.
What is that?
It's like a denomination of Christianity. I don't know.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. I mean, like, I literally, okay, so I was like trying to think of, I was writing something for like class, and then I was like, okay, so like there's different types of government, different like systems and modes of government, right? There's like, yeah, hang
Drink
on.
some water.
Yeah, like my voice is like sounding like Heisenberg.
Yeah, but I was saying like that's the reason why people came to America.
So
really,
like freedom, they were fleeing religious persecution.
Yeah.
Were they Protestants? I can't remember. They were a specific religion, right?
Yeah,
they fled
Protestants,
England.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You know what, bro? It's been so dang long. I have to look this up because I know about Plymouth Rock and everything.
Yeah.
I have to look this
Pilgrims.
up. See, this is what we were talking about.
Shit.
When you're younger, you're able to retain information better. I can speak Urdu only because when I was young, I was exposed to Urdu a lot, so that's why I can speak it. Dude, I know nothing about like how to like remember terms and stuff like that, or remember specific details about things. If I learned them a long time ago, even 5 years ago, it's hard for me to pull that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, bro? We gotta. Cause those 5-year-olds, bro, they're wasting their time with them blocks.
Yo, they're gonna make a pill or something that's gonna extend that period. Like that of from 5-year-olds to 10-year-olds, you know, like something like that.
Developmental period?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. That sounds super risky. I feel like the side effects may be like destroying your dang brain. I mean, at least in the trial runs. You know what I mean? You know about trial and error. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm all for trial and error so long as the error isn't like death. You know what I mean? Like, and if you try that on babies, bro, it's like, yeah, I'm not cool with like the experiment if it's on babies and the risk is like death.
Though, first.
On mice?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Some people are like, oh yeah, this brings up an interesting topic. What do you think about like animals? Do you think animals are like comparable to humans, or do you think that we're like there's barriers between us? Like, what distinguishes a human from an animal?
Consciousness.
Consciousness?
Yeah.
Okay, so you mean like elevated consciousness, right?
Yes.
Because like animals aren't conscious, I guess.
Well, we don't know first of all, like we're in this perspective of human beings. We all know that we can think. Like thinking is something
we can evaluate
like,
and such.
Yeah. And I don't know if other animals think. Like they don't consciously
have the ability to rationalize.
You know what I mean? They don't have I forget what it's called. Not intuition, something else.
Instinct. Instinct?
They follow,
operate off of instinct.
They follow instinct.
Yeah.
And they follow the survival code that has been laid in their genetics.
Into their DNA.
In their DNA. And that's all they know. Like a bird flies south. Why? Not because it's like consciously thinking, oh, let me just go to the south. No,
that's like better. That's like literally it's
programmed in its mind.
Yeah, it's like pre-programmed. It's like machines are pre-programmed to do things.
That's how it is. And so
I totally because like I wrote a report one time when I was trying to distinguish between like it was a worldview paper, so I had to write about my worldview, and I was like part of it. My views have changed since then. I wrote this when I was 18, I think.
Yeah.
But it was like about like what distinguishes an animal from a human. Because I was like talking about why I have my philosophy, but animals don't have their philosophy. That was one of the criteria for the paper. So I was like, okay, so like animals, when they see like food laying on a trap, right? A lot of the time, they will go for that food. Because instinctively part of their DNA is programmed to eat food to continue their sustained existence. However, if a human sees a food on a trap, right, he will notice the trap, right? He will also think to himself, okay, I need this food to live, right? But is it worth what the trap will entail?
Yeah.
You know?
Or how can I see this trap, how can I disassemble it and get the safest way
you know what I mean?
It?
So they have the power of rationalization. So they will rationalize, there's the risk and like benefit ratio. All right, so I want the food and I don't want to get the risk of getting entrapped. And then what they'll do is they'll do what you know, to try to disassemble the trap. They'll try to maybe they'll use a stick or something. You know
use
what I mean?
tools,
to trigger the trap first, so the trap gets used up, and then they can grab the food. Like there's all sorts of things there, and I think that's like with that. And I think animal rights are an interesting issue because I'm against like hurting animals for no reason.
Yeah,
I am
definitely.
But in terms of like self-defense, I think it's appropriate. Like, cause like this seems like really like, oh, like, well, of course, why even talk about this? Because some people are going to be like, oh yeah, but how often? I saw a Jubilee video between vegans and like people, right? And they were like non-vegans, right? So then they were
like
saying,
two groups.
Yeah, they were talking, right?
I think I've seen a few of those videos.
But this one particularly was about like vegans and non-vegans. And they were discussing the vegans.
And the thing about those were you don't know, right? Or do they know?
This one they knew. This one they knew who
I know
he
some
was.
of them, they were like...
Some of them is guess who,
yeah,
right? But this one, it's one of the ones where it's framed where 3 members of each group, right, sit across from each other and then they have discussion.
Okay.
So, discussions sometimes get heated depending on what the topic is.
Yeah.
So vegans, right? I've met a few vegans in my life. They're usually very kind people, right? They're like not very hostile about their beliefs or anything. They don't impose it on people necessarily.
Like you
but they want to
there.
persuade people because they do believe it's like the morally right thing to do. It's like religion, actually. Now that I think about it. Now that I think about it, it's similar to religion
like that,
because
bro?
Religion. I'm not mad at like Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses for knocking on my door because they legitimately don't want me to burn in hell. That's the thing. So their motivation, their intentions, I think are good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand their intentions and I appreciate their intentions.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, sometimes it's 7:00 in the morning. You know? So it's like I want I want to hear you out because I do think
maybe give me a cookie with this.
Like let me just finish my cereal or something. But like I'm not. But with like religion, right? It's similar to religion because it's like they believe it's moral. They believe it's right, like definitively. It's not like a subjective morality from their perspective. It's there's one objective morality, and this is the truth. And we want you to be on the right side,
regardless of anybody else's opinion.
We want you. They want the whole world, if they could have it their way. You know, ideally, they want the whole world to be right. You know. And same with veganism. Veganism is they see veganism as a morally right thing, you know, to avoid hurting animals at all costs, whether it's food, clothing, you know, whatever, like even outside of food, like just stuff like that.
But literally, I mean, the only reason we've gotten to the place where we're at this comfortably is through the process of like
deforestation,
like fucking doing everything.
Yeah. I mean, like even like
we talk about
even
it
without
now.
killing animals directly. If you do like if you build buildings and stuff, you build cities, you eventually have to deforest, right?
Yeah,
you have to go through a process of deforestation,
like
and that displaces animals, and then they die.
We say it now when we're comfortable. This is what comfort looks like. This is what this is what top of the food chain looks like.
Okay, I was actually gonna say because in that Jubilee video, that one guy gave it like they asked a question, right, to everyone, and they were like, "It's okay to kill animals in some instances, in some circumstances." Every single one of the non-vegans, right? They came and sat down. Not a single one of the the vegans went to sat down, and I thought that was kind of interesting because I was like, you can't think of a single instance. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying there are some instances, even if you are against eating meat, which I respect, and you're against using any kind of animal products, which again I will respect. There's some instances, you know, like, but then
especially the self-defense stuff.
Yeah,
like,
That
dude,
guy said,
a bear. If you're in front of a grizzly bear, that bear is wanting to kill you.
Yeah,
like
for
that
sure.
that thing is instinctually wanting to kill you. And you're like,
I don't know if it's because like I don't know if they're always like that. I've seen some videos where like a guy is just chilling, sitting down by a river, and then a giant ass grizzly bear comes and just sits next to him.
Yeah.
And then just watches the river and then it leaves. Saw that video? Yeah. That guy was filming. I was like, dude, did that guy piss himself or not?
I know, dude.
I have to know. And then all the comments were, oh, the bear was probably like not even noticing him because his balls were so huge, you know, like all those jokes. Because all those jokes, and all those big balls jokes, you know?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so the guy who said that it was okay to kill an animal, one of the people said that, oh, you know, if you're like in the woods and you got no other way to defend yourself and a bear comes at you or a mountain lion comes at you, then, you know, you gotta
do something.
And then when the vegans came to sit down because they got their say, then the vegans came to have their say. The vegans said, oh, they always use such extreme cases. Like, how often are you going to be attacked by a cougar in the city or a bear in the city? They're saying that it's so rare that there's no point even considering it. But the thing is, right, is that I think in those instances, oh wait, no, there's another thing. They said that they said, like, what if you're hiking, right? And then you get attacked by a cougar. And then the vegan said that was still really rare. But they said that they named a case, right? And it happened in Orange County, which is where we are.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know cougar. And my brother actually told me about it. We went to Irvine Park. And then he told me, you see those mountains over there, Hassan? a guy got mauled by a mountain lion there.
Damn.
And I was like, all right, bro, we're trying to have a picnic.
We're like trying to have a family moment
outing. He's like, hey man, that's where a cougar killed a guy. I was like, okay. Anyway, they have to put the cougar down. Because what happens is that in nature reserves, if an animal attacks human or kills a human, they look for the animal, the rangers, and then they kill it, right?
Yeah. And dude, like the California flag has a grizzly bear on it. And there are no grizzly bears in California because they killed every single one of them.
And every single one. Yeah, that brings another point. The guy responded to the man who was not a vegan, right? Who said like, oh, people hike and there's a cougar and you got to defend yourself. Like, yeah, I would shoot the cougar to defend myself. Then the vegan said, yeah, if you're hiking, you're in the cougar's territory, so you got to accept the consequences. That's what he said, right? I'm not trying to defame the guy or misrepresent a point. That's what he said. I will say, like, yeah, that's true. If you go to a place of nature and you meet a product of nature, you are technically in their turf. That is true. You are in their home turf. That's their area, not yours. Like, you don't live there. You're just visiting. Yeah. You're a tourist, right? But then I thought to myself, okay, but like, you know, you're in a city right now, the guy, right? We're in an urbanized area. Yeah. Right? This used to be a place of nature. So are we not technically in a place of nature right now? I don't know. I feel like where's the line drawn? Because we're always harming animals to an extent, even passively. We're living in an area that literally only exists because of deforestation. So then animals get displaced. Yeah. There was an episode of Fairly Odd Parents where like they urbanized the whole town, right? So they cut out all the woods. They started cutting all the woods down, so the bears had nowhere to live, so then they started attacking people on the street, right? Which was funny, but then I thought to myself, because it's a cartoon, but then I thought to myself, no, I think bears wouldn't last that long without trees, like without the proper habitat that they're supposed to live in, like without like their proper ecosystem, without their
maybe
food,
they'll adapt.
Maybe they'll evolve to kill humans and eat them, because bears don't eat humans that much. They just kill them.
Yeah, they just kill them
because they're scared.
And sometimes they eat them if they're really hungry or they have cubs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If bears have cubs, bro, you're freaking dead. You're fucking dead. Because they will protect those damn aggressive cubs. As hell. Like, you seen The Revenant? No. Yeah, The Revenant. Yeah, the scene with the bear. Because what happens, the bear didn't attack him. Like, at first it says that the hunter saw the cubs and he was about to shoot one of the cubs, right? And then he heard like a noise behind him and the fucking giant mama bear comes at him. That scene was so intense, bro. That shit
was crazy.
Yo, I was reminded of this. The reason I'm talking about animals, right, is that there are people that love animals a lot and will risk their own lives to save animals. Again, I respect that. If you love something enough to risk your life for it and you actually accept the risks, you know, I don't just back out at the last second.
You walk the walk?
I will, if you walk the walk, I will respect you, even if I disagree with what you're thinking. Yeah. But like with the animals, right? I respect people who fight for animals. The thing is, I'm just saying it's really hard to not hurt animals. Because we do it every day instinctively, passively. Yeah.
Our whole history has been...
We couldn't be here if we didn't hurt animals. So I'm saying we really we got to do some really massive inner self-reflection on that sort of stuff. Because like because like if you're not doing that, you're engaging in some level of hypocrisy. We gotta do some inner reflection. We gotta change our course of action somewhat. But the reason I brought this up is because there was a documentary about this man who loved bears. So he went to this forest area where there were bears, right? And it was like planned for like deforestation, right? Yeah. And he was trying to
check this.
Oh yeah, go ahead. It's all good? All right, cool. All right. So it was a plan for deforestation. There's a documentary about it. The guy made the documentary himself, right? He was filming himself. He loved bears. He wanted bears to be protected. He was making the documentary to prove that bears and humans could coexist. Yeah. Right? He did. And like him and the bears, it was weird. He had a really weird relationship with bears. A lot of the times the grizzly bears would attack him, right? But then he would calm him down. He would be like, hey, stop. Or like he would like pet him. Or
so he lived in the woods?
He lived in the woods. Him and his girlfriend. Okay. Right? It lived in the woods for a while, like with the tent, because they were trying to basically do a camp out. And they were making the documentary to prove that bears and humans could coexist. Bears weren't intrinsically just killing machines or anything like that. Basically, one part of the documentary was so like wild and kind of badass. A bear was like attacking him, right? Yeah. And he was trying to get the bear to calm down with like his method of like the calming hand and stuff. That didn't work. So when the bear was about to do another strike, he got up and was about to bite down him. He bopped the bear in the nose. He punched the bear in the nose, and the bear backed off then afterwards. So I guess it was like a display of dominance or something. So I was like, damn, this dude He's really committed to this. He's like, look, if I don't punch this bear in the nose, the hunters are going to come and shoot it. So I want to avoid that. So he just punched the bear. Anyway, I'm assuming you can guess how the documentary ended.
No, I
your first guess is right. How did it end?
Did they die?
He died, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how he died?
Getting mauled by
he got mauled by a bear. Yeah. Weirdest part is that like it was by the river, and then like he told his girlfriend to run. He got this, but then like, no.
Wow, damn.
Yeah. And it's sad, right? But again, I think it's really interesting because people will say that that's like proof, right? That okay, bears and humans can't coexist. But I think of it this way, right? You know, if you lived in a place that had no clean water, right? And you died from like you know,
an effect
from the no clean water.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that all water is unclean. It just means you live in an area with unclean water. And with the bear situation, people will say, oh, there's proof, you know? Okay. Because he wanted to protect bears and he got killed by one. But the thing is that he was with bears 100% of the time. So the chances of him dying in a place surrounded by bears every single day and the chances of him dying related to a bear were pretty high. I think they were just significantly, the stats on that were boosted. So I'm saying it's not a fair assessment. You know what I mean?
When you go into their territory.
No, you go in their territory and you stay there for a long amount of time. Because he was there for weeks, you know? Like 2-3 weeks. So I'm thinking if you're there for that long,
there's definitely a chance.
Because he could have been attacked and killed by any other time, but he only got killed after staying there for so long. Eventually it was going to happen. Eventually, what? They were going to like sit around and drink tea together? Like there was very few ways.
We talked about the instinct of animals, how birds fly south. Bears, their instinct is to survive.
You survive. Right? And also, like humans don't always have the best intentions with them. They can't take that risk. They got cubs. You know what I mean? Bears,
they're not like watching Netflix and like chilling. Like,
they're not chilling and watching Netflix, bro. They're babysitting permanently. They're cubs. They got cubs.
And with them, they live in a harsh reality where the cubs, like they know that one or two might just die. Like that's true. Just through nature, just through
with that's with mammals. With like what's it called? With like cold-blooded animals, it's like way worse because they lay a bunch of eggs at once, right? And then they know for a fact that only like 2 of these are gonna make it to adulthood.
Like the turtles.
How many eggs did they lay? Like 100?
Hundreds or so. Yeah. And then you see them crawling.
Only like 2 of them, like so many of them, literally just exist as bird food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so messed up. But like if they don't flip in time, they're dead.
And that's how like the cycle works too. The food cycle
is that sad, but it's kind of sad.
The turtles, and then the birds know that to eat the turtles.
They know the cycle. It's all prepared. It's so sick. It's like a menu option. You know, but like at the same time, it has to work that way because otherwise the bird starves.
Yeah.
We just gotta. Yeah. You know what I mean? Bro. It's so It's kind of it's just a way of life.
That's amazing though. It's like perfect alignment of everything.
With the bear documentary guy, right? They didn't release footage of his body, like his anatomy afterwards. They brought him to a morgue. They didn't release his autopsy.
Yeah.
And in the documentary, they said that his girlfriend and family both said that there's, because he had the camera with him when he was dead, right? So the camera was recording. So there is audio that exists of him in his last moments getting mauled by a bear.
Yeah.
And they say that they don't want the footage released, right? But the footage exists, but they don't want it released out of respect for him. Which I get.
You don't need to hear somebody.
Obviously. So but I just thought that was interesting. Like, it's interesting that he was aware of the risks, but he had something he believed in and he was willing to like risk for it. Yeah. Like he wanted these bears to live. I don't remember what happened. I don't know if they went through with the deforestation or if they probably did kill some bear. There were multiple bears in the area though. So they can't just kill every bear there,
and we look at our power as human beings. Like we could literally destroy this entire planet if we wanted to.
That's another interesting point, power dynamics.
Yeah.
You know?
But we don't, because we know like science shows that if we do certain things, there's a cause and effect. Yeah. Sure, we could pollute the ocean, but then
they'll come back to us eventually. It'll come back to us,
like the mercury poisoning, all that shit with the fish.
Sometimes people don't use foresight, though. You know? Sometimes people don't use foresight. I guess, okay, so people in positions of power, okay, so this is fascinating, all right? Because from a sociological perspective, right? you wouldn't say, so like, if I asked you, right, like, hey, would you do this horrible thing? Like, would you lay off 100,000 workers, right? Or would you have them keep their jobs, but you have to continue to pollute this environment because that's how the workers stay employed, right?
That's how the business runs,
right?
yeah.
You might say, oh, like, no, I would never do something that awful, right? But the thing is that CEOs or really powerful executive officers, they're put in these positions literally every single day. So it's easy for us to do with the think tank, but for them, they're in that position every single day.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm saying that's the thing. I don't think that any like person is intrinsically evil.
Yeah,
I just think,
want the environment to be ruined.
or I more accurately know that they people put in different positions act differently.
Yeah.
They don't even have the same perceptions that we do, you know? Like to them it's just a decision.
Yeah.
To us it's like this like a big think tank thing.
Yeah.
For like a thought experiment. But for them it's like a real world
For them, it's
thing.
like people's lives depend on
like
it.
this or that, you know, it's like a decision like that. I don't think that the problems of the world lie necessarily with evil people. Evil people exist, sure, but I don't think they're the sole cause of the world's problems. I think it's the way that the world is structured. The way that the organizational platform is on, you know, the arrangement of things.
And speaking of structure, the system.
Yeah.
You want to talk about?
I'm a communist. Yeah, for sure. But
and that's most people wouldn't have the courage to say that. So I applaud you for that. So
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So people don't like communists, right?
Yeah.
I understand why. I'm not like ignorant to it, but
explain why though. Like why
I'm a communist. Why I'm a communist? Yeah, sure. Okay.
Why that belief developed and
how that belief developed is interesting. Sure. Yeah. So when I was like younger, right? I was taught a lot. Like I was like all throughout school, like even since 5th grade, I had a weird 5th grade teacher that talked about communism a lot. It was never a class discussion, by the way. It's not like a 5th grade
teacher.
Yeah, it was not on the curriculum or anything. But like she was like, hey, in China they'll kill you if you're not a communist and stuff like that. Or like if you do this,
you have to be in order.
Yeah.
Structure.
And then they said that like the Russians. Like that,
Soviet
like
Union,
and stuff like that. So I was taught like all these awful things. Like my brother was also like really big on like anti-communism and how communism was evil and stuff like that. And then like I was like, okay, communism is evil. But like when people talked about communism, they said that it was evil, but they never gave me like specific reasons why. So I was left to do research myself on that front.
Yeah.
Ironically, the research actually
chose the internet. You chose the internet.
And sometimes, bro, the stuff that people said communism was bad actually made it sound more appealing. So they were like, hey, man, they were like, I saw pictures. This is real, by the way, during the civil rights movement. Like a lot of white people didn't want to integrate with black people at the time. They didn't want to stop the segregation system. So they associated the civil rights movement and black empowerment and black liberation with communism, right? To try to discredit it.
Yeah.
And they would hold up signs saying like race mixing is communism, right?
Really?
Yeah. And I was thinking, all right, I guess communism is not that bad. It's just that people don't because of that reason. So I was like, I ended up doing my own research. I actually read from the people who advocated for communism, because like a lot of the information I was getting was from people from one side, which was that communism was evil, but without actually describing what
is there like a certain leader or like a certain person that like invented that idea or
phrase? Yeah. Okay. So communism, I guess, as an advocated system has existed for a long time. But the person to like verbalize it or to use like terms were like Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Peter Kropotkin, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, how it happened, right, for me was that when I was in I was researching like the stuff, I learned some things ironically when I was researching the civil rights movement. The Black Panthers, which were a black gun rights and black civil rights organization in the US. Activists, right? Their founders, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, were both communists. What happened was that they understood, or they analyzed the conditions of black people in America as the conditions of black proletariat under capitalism. So they saw themselves as, first, when they came to America, they were brought in as slaves, as labor for capitalist slave owners, right?
Yeah, free labor.
Yeah, free labor. And then afterwards, after chattel slavery was abolished, then they were exploited as underpaid, like less paid than white people. So they were still exploited and underpaid and undervalued.
Yeah.
So they understood the system like that. That's the lens they saw it through. And
the history of it.
Yeah, the history of it. That was from their like context, right? That's how they understood the context. And like Huey P. Newton was a sociologist too. Like he studied sociology. So like that helped as well.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot about sociology. It was like, I'm not a sociology major actually.
Yeah.
But I was really interested in the classes and courses of sociology because I like power dynamics and stuff. That's another reason I got into it.
Yeah.
But so like, yeah, when they advocated for that group, another thing I found was here's a distortion about communism, right? Which is among others, is that they claim that communists are anti-gun and they want to take everyone's guns away, right? Ironically, communists have been gun advocates.
Really?
Karl Marx himself said that the proletariat, the working class, should never be disarmed, and that any attempts to do so should be frustrated or rejected by force if necessary.
Damn.
So yeah, I know that's like the most pro-gun thing.
People would like put that up on a wall.
And they would put that up on like a Trump poster, maybe, you know, ironically,
Trump poster,
you know,
something
or like
that.
And the irony is that the Black Panthers advocated for Black people to arm themselves because they couldn't trust the police to protect them, right? Because the police were the ones brutalizing them or occupying them. They're the reason they needed protection sometimes. And like, so they advocated that Black people arm themselves and learn self-defense and join their program. So that way they have a means to defend themselves against white supremacists and cops and stuff. Yeah. So Ronald Reagan, right? Ronald Reagan was governor of California. Ronald Reagan is seen as
before he became president.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan, when he was governor of California, was like the peak of, like, he was associated as the face of like the right wing, right? The face of Republicans, the face of conservatives, right? He really didn't like guns. He actually is quoted as saying there's no reason that any person should have an assault rifle on the street. And that's ironic because most people who like Reagan would be pro-gun, you know? So, him, the NRA and the KKK lobbied together to establish the really strict anti-open carry gun laws in California. So they effectively legally disarmed the Black Panthers in California. And that's the ironic thing is that, you know, California is Democrat, right? It's like very liberal, right? Maybe not soon. I don't know. I heard some things about redistricting, but for now it's like a blue state, you know, the one we live in, and that people assume that, the reason that there's, you know, such strong, strict gun laws here is because, like the liberals did it. Ironically, it was a right winger. I'm saying ironically because obviously the views changed.
The views changed. Like, even Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, right?
Yeah,
and so
you know, me personally, people are saying that like it was like a party switch. I don't know. I don't really think like with Abraham Lincoln specifically, because like people are saying that Abraham Lincoln would have been like a Democrat today. Yeah, he would. I have no idea. But maybe he would have. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But at the time, I think it was a new party too.
Yeah, like it was a new party. Yeah. It was because like for the longest time it was Democrats and Whigs and other stuff. Yeah, parties changed over time. Right now there's only two parties, like major ones. There's others, but if you vote,
you could be independent, but you literally won't go anywhere with that.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. If you want to do local elections, you could probably get someone. But something. Like the president, bro, no way. I'm sorry, no way.
It's so corrupted. Possible. That system is just
the duopoly. Yeah, both parties actually do have one thing in common. One major thing in common. They both want to be the only two parties because the others would be more competition. So they do work together to go like, listen, man, that like Bernie's getting too wild. He's getting too left, or like, this person's becoming too much trouble for the Republicans. The Republicans are like, we got people that are too much trouble for us. Or Democrats are like, this person is like, you know, like they're saying bad stuff about like American foreign policy or something. So they, you know, they work together to try to shame them and stuff like that, or like to blot them out. Well, okay. So like my point is that, sorry, I go on tangents.
Go ahead.
Is that like, when I learned about that and like how like many people fighting for basic human decency, you know, supported socialism or communism, I knew for a fact that the ideology wasn't inherently evil if that was the case. So
you saw it in a different lens in which most people thought of it as just pure evil without any facts to like.
Well, there wasn't detail. You know what I mean? They didn't give me
now
content.
You look at it from your own way, and then find more detail about it.
I got contextualized on it. I found a good contextualization for it. And that's like what made me go like, you know, I do support like because I'm a person of color in this country, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone shares my experience as a person of color, but man, I had like it was like when I was in school, like, yeah, there was a lot of racism I faced, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The weirdest thing was that when I told people, like people asked me where I was from, I said Pakistan. They were like, no, you're from India. Because they said that they wouldn't believe Pakistan existed.
Really?
So then when like my mom would speak Urdu to me, when she picked me up, people were like, oh, she's speaking Indian? And I was like, no, she's speaking Urdu. And she was there like, that's not a real thing.
Who would like just
like,
random
all the
kids?
The kids. I mean, to be fair, this was like in third grade.
Yeah, I don't think they knew anything.
Fairness, third grade is, I feel like, a bit too old to think that there's like the only place brown people come from is India.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But like, you know, I was like, yeah, this, that stuff. But like, so I held resonance with that sort of thing, like with the Black Panthers and like, yeah. And that's why, like, part of my reason for like why I want to become a lawyer, right, is I want to actually try to get into legal battles with the highest courts and try to overturn some regressive policies and laws. In California, I want California to be an open carry state law again. And the reason for that is I 100% know that the reason that law exists is because for racist reasons. One, the roots of it were pretty racist, why it was implemented. And two, I also want, you know, people of color, especially, but all people, but people of color, to be able to hold arms as a means to defend themselves. Because I mean, like, politics aside, all right?
Yeah.
If you like cops, you think cops are the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, even if you're the biggest cop fan in the world, even if you lick boots for a living, okay? If someone's breaking into your house, right? With the intent to kill you, hypothetically, right? And like you call the cops. Best case scenario, the cops are there in 5 minutes. That 5 minutes could mean anything between you and death.
Yeah.
So you're better off defending yourself in the meantime. And then when the cops later, you can fill out the police report if you want. But, you know, that's my reasoning for it, is that's like the thing. I have a friend, right, who's he's very similar to you. He talks like you. He has a podcast as well.
Oh, really?
I'll give you, I'll hook you up with him later. Like, because I think you guys would actually get along.
Okay.
He has a political podcast, right? He's very similar to you, actually. Like he talks like you too. Like you're very easygoing and like, easy to talk to.
I just don't go fuck. That's it.
That's great. That's the key. Yeah, he actually was super surprised because like when I told, like, you know, he's known I'm a communist for a while. We're still friends. He's an independent. You know.
Yeah.
He says that he's independent. He leans a little left on some issues, but he still considers himself an independent. Right. He said to me that like he was like surprised as heck that I support like guns, right? Because he's like, you're a communist, right? Like communists want to take away guns, and I was like, no,
that's the preconceived notion.
Yeah,
right?
It's the distortion. You know what I mean? Majority of the time, right? When like a communist, like when a country becomes communist, they didn't have many guns to begin with. Like a lot of these places were like feudal before, or they didn't have a state of development where they could make a mass-produced amount of guns anyway. So there wasn't that much gun confiscation to begin with. In Cuba, for example, like people say Castro took away the guns. No, he didn't. Cause like, hear me out. What happened is I thought that too, but like, I was like thinking about it. Okay. So the way Castro came to power is not, he didn't like win an election or anything. What happened?
He literally overthrew the government.
Yeah, he overthrew the government. The government was Batista, and Batista was an American-backed dictator.
Yeah.
So he was overthrowing a dictator, and dictators don't like guns.
Yeah.
So there were no guns to begin with that he could take away. What happened was that the only people at the time who had guns were like him and his soldiers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's like small amounts of gun ownership, but it's not wide scale. So that was another thing. So like, again, I'm really big advocate for people to arm themselves so they have a means to defend themselves. And I'm also a big advocate for people to come together on a grassroots level, have an assembly, a meeting, whatever you want to call it. If you don't like those words because they're too formal, call it a hangout for all I care.
Yeah.
Discuss problems on an even level, right, on even footing, with face-to-face conversation. Because I think majority of decisions that affect our lives are made by people who live in towers, who live in castles. Yeah, I mean, who live in White Houses, who live in government buildings. We don't see their face.
That
and they sign legislation. They don't know our lives. They don't know our direct experiences. So they sign stuff without realizing how it affects us. And if they do, they don't care because they're so disaffected with us. And I don't think this is because they're evil. This is just the way it's structured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that the way things should be organized and the way decisions should be made are on a face-to-face level.
Yeah, I'd believe that too. Like that should be a bigger importance, because I think what it's gotten to is that there have been so many people in this country, like 300 million people. It's hard to understand everybody's opinion. But
no, I know that.
Instead of only getting the perspectives of what these two parties want, right? Yeah. Like it shouldn't just be the two parties. It should be other ideas, and also not compassion. What's the compromise? Compromise into different ideas. Yeah,
that brings me to another thing. All right. So here's another thing, right? So when I say that the face-to-face, the reason is that we have 300 million people, right? Yeah. So the theory of the argument for the representative democracy, right, is that, oh, there's so many people. Obviously, all those people can't like come together and decide because there's so many people. It's literally, you couldn't fit all these people in a room. So it's like, you just need to elect representatives, and those representatives will do that. But the thing is,
it seems like a good idea.
It seems like a good idea at first, but then you realize the representatives have no incentive to be held accountable to you afterwards.
That's the biggest thing. I talked about this a few weeks ago, and with a few friends, and I told them, like, if politicians were in the same kind of understanding that they would also have pushback, they would also have some type of, I don't want to say punishment, but
a leveraging mechanism.
Yeah. And they would have something like that
to hold them accountable to the promises they make, or to make sure that they don't go too far or whatever. Right.
Like in any other job you have that. Like if you're working in IT and you mess up, like
you get
this
fired,
whole
right?
Yeah,
you get fired. Like that, if a McDonald's, it's just so weird to me that a McDonald's employee has more accountability than a freaking politician, bro. I think, in all honesty, if politicians have to exist, they should have more accountability, not less. They should be held to a higher standard. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that
then they would actually try harder too. Like more shit would get done. All this shit.
Not only are they like, they have like less like standards. They're like, they get like more leeway than the rest of us do. When they mess up or something, like nothing, they don't get punished,
happens.
Bro. Nothing happens.
You could get impeached, and Donald Trump still golfs and everything. Happens.
That's another thing. When like a politician like leaves office, right? They get a pension, like a government pension, and then they get lifelong security detail that constantly protects them. So I'm telling you, even if they get voted out, right? Their interests are secured. They risk, bro, nothing. You know what I mean? If they piss us off,
they don't.
Like if they mess up the economy, if they mess up a job deal or a negotiation trade deal or something, and it affects the rest of us, and as punishment, we vote them out the next election, right?
Yeah. But nothing actually happens to them.
They're just gonna go sit on their like mansion in the woods and then smoke and like watch TV, bro. They're fine. Like I think, okay, so like some people, right? Like a lot of liberals, right?
And what I'm saying is, and I think we both agree on this, is not to punish them in such a severe way that they're like, you can never or like put them in jail or something.
I'm not saying like chop their heads off or anything.
Their heads off. We're saying have some accountability so that you learn from mistakes and want to improve. Like even if you fail, it's okay to fail in certain aspects. Like everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect on anything.
True, but you just there's gotta be some way to get you to have incentive to improve yourself.
Yes.
The thing is, not only do they not have like punishments, they also have no incentive to improve themselves.
They're just
because they're getting it either way. They're getting the reward whether they succeed or fail at what they're saying they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Again, my ideal world wouldn't have politicians. We would all collectively, voluntarily come together in like assemblies, groups, gatherings, what have you, right? And then discuss problems face to face. And then through that discussion, right, people interpret, are exposed to, and engage with differing perspectives, right? Like, oh, I didn't think of it that way before. And then it develops your own persona, it develops your own personhood, your own interests, your own identity even. And then from that, right, like this is beyond compromise. So how you see a compromise is that everyone, when a compromise could be described like this: everyone leaves a little bit upset because they didn't get everything they wanted, but they're just satisfied or content that they got anything at all, right? Here's something better than a compromise: a consensus. Consensus works like this, right? People come together voluntarily, right? They all discuss they all discuss how they feel about the specific issue at hand that they come together to discuss, right? Then they all shoot out and just spout their own ideas, their own proposals about how to approach the issue, how to solve the problem, right? And then what happens, right, is that everyone's exposed to these different perspectives, right? And then they take bits and pieces, or even combine and pool together the proposals and the ideas that were spread by everyone, and they develop a new one together. And then that's the one that's like made. It's like, this is what's called consensus, essentially.
Taking things and then making another thing.
And then a consensus is everyone agrees on it. Everyone at the end says that this is a good idea. So like, this is better than majoritarian democracy, where if like 98%, like say there's a meeting with 100 people, or a gathering with 100 people, or a party with 100 people, and then 98 of the people agree on something, but then 2 people leave dissatisfied, right? That would be majoritarian. Consensus means all 100 of those people are satisfied. And again, this sounds like, oh, you're just talking like utopia, right? And no, I totally get that. If at first you think that this is some made up thing I pulled out of my ass, but this is the type of way that pre-colonial indigenous societies in Latin America have actually went about. This is the method that they've done to actually come to conclusions and decisions. There was this communist in Mexico, indigenous communist, Ricardo Flores Magón, and like, this is the system that he proposed. And during the Mexican Revolution, his followers, or people that like listen to his ideas and stuff, they established this type of decision-making process. And it was completely successful in terms of like, everyone was satisfied afterwards. Obviously, you know, eventually the Mexican Revolution concluded and the right wing won, but like, that's that. For the time, you know, it was like, so it's like, that's the way I want things to be done, you know? Obviously I could talk about this for a long time, but if you want to jump topics, like, I'm totally
no, go ahead, keep on. I'm interested in this shit.
Okay. So like, that's like how consensus works, is that as opposed to direct democracy, even I prefer direct democracy to representative democracy, because I don't trust representatives, and representatives just aren't trustworthy,
especially the way, like we mentioned before,
because you know, they're not, they have no means of
talking
or account. Oh, sorry. They have no means of accountability. You know? It's like, they have no means to like be held accountable by their constituency that voted them in. I mean, at best is that you have to wait till the next election cycle. You're going to tell the person that you voted in, oh, you didn't fulfill your promises. You just wait 2 or 4 years. I'm going to vote you out.
And that's why they could lie because they could make up this whole presentation of what they're going to do and then not follow through. But they're still not, they won't have any, they'll have backlash. Maybe the public won't be supportive of them anymore. But that's pretty much it. Like nothing else happens.
And again, they have pension security and stuff like that. Congressmen, governors, senators, they have protections. They have 24/7 security detail. And even if they didn't have those, right, there's other things. Like, for example, David Graeber, he's a communist. He was talking, he's an anthropologist too. Anthropologists study humans. Yeah, I know. Okay. So
he's like a professor or something?
Yeah, he's a professor. And like he just traveled the world and he gives lectures. He actually did a lot of insanely interesting things. Like he, you know, Occupy Wall Street. Do you remember that?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
If you could explain it.
It was in 2011. Occupy Wall Street. It happened when there was the 2008 market crash. Right. And during the 2008 market crash, right, there was a huge recession. The economy was in the downturn. Many people lost their jobs, and people's like savings got like depleted over time. The housing market crashed. There's a bunch of like economic troubles, right? So people were like, and then Wall Street, right? And all sorts of big corporations and stuff like that got bailed out by the U.S. government. So like Bush and Obama, right? They bailed out, like, instead of bailing out the people, the working class, they just bailed out the big companies, not even small businesses, just like banks, mega corporations, stuff like that. So people were fed up, right? So they thought that, oh, you know what? It's not even like the president who controls stuff. It's the banks, because the banks control the president. The corporations control the president.
I know, the money controls.
Yeah, controls it, everything. You know? So then they, as a symbolic gesture, they all came together in front of Wall Street and they started protesting. They occupied it. So they set up tents and they were protesting and stuff like that. And
that guy was
David Graeber, an anthropologist and like communist, he was one of the people who coined the phrase, "We are the 99%." Because it's like the dynamics is that like there's the poor working class, which is the majority of the country, and then there's the rich, which is a very minute group of people, a very exclusive group of people, the 1%. So he came up with the phrase "We are the 99% and popularized it, and also he gave a bunch of lectures there. He's considered one of the the primary proponents of the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So like, obviously Occupy Wall Street was like not as successful, but nonetheless, he gave a presentation, right? When he talked about America's history, right? And he talked about how when the founding fathers were deciding how the country should be run, they actually said that democracy was the worst way to run a country.
Really?
And most people don't know this because it's not taught a lot, but like they actually thought that democracy was the worst way to run a country. Mm-hmm. Here's how they described democracy. They said that, two wolves and a sheep decide what to have for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So they saw themselves actually as the sheep. Uh-huh. So how they framed it was, okay, so there was like 10 million people in the country at the time, right? Mm-hmm. Roughly. And like they said that like 1 million people controlled like the wealth, right? Like the banks, the slaves, the slave plantations, all that sort of stuff, right? The land, the slave plantations. They said we can't just give everyone the right to vote because they'll just expropriate us right away, right? Mm-hmm. So then they came up with the system of representative democracy. So this representative democracy, well, they didn't come up with it, but this is the one that they chose, right? Yeah. They chose representative democracy, right, as a way to curtail that possibility. Mm-hmm. So instead of a poor person, like 100 poor people in an area, like voting the decision that they get more food or more water or anything like that, instead, they would have to vote for a person who would represent their interests and then advocate for that for them. They'd advocate. So
and
then
that person would already be corrupt.
And also there's a bunch of barriers in the way. Like elections cost money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you have money, you can run an election on your own. A campaign on your own. But otherwise, really big corporations, like really, really big ones, super PACs, they'll come together and they'll give campaign contributions to a candidate. They're called special interest donations, and then in exchange for basically the reason you're in office, because we paid for your campaign, you just got to help us out with a few favors. And they're like, dope, done. They have no qualms about that, because again, they know. And also here's another thing. They want to run again, right? Mm-hmm. They usually, majority of the time when people run for office, they don't just want to run for one term. They want to run for as many terms as they're allowed to. So presidents run for 2, and then congressmen run for as many as they can, because there's no term limits on them. That's another thing. There's no term limits. But anyway, so basically, right?
They did it on every other thing, basically. Senator.
Except the senator, and then like governors, like you can run as much as you want. It's so weird. But anyway, so what happens, right? Is that like, they want to run again. So if they want to run again, they know where the money comes from. Mm-hmm. So they're more beholden to the interests of their donors than their voters. Yeah. Like David Graeber described it like this. He said that like when a candidate, right, promises stuff to voters, they're like, oh, I'm going to get you guys jobs. I'm going to increase the economy. I'm going to make the roads work again. I'm going to
do all these things.
Decrease crime, decrease poverty. I'll do all of that stuff, right? And then he makes promises to his donor. Mm-hmm. He tells his donor, hey, if I win, I'll like cut interest rates on that, or I'll increase interest rates. I'll remove the cap on usury, the interest rates like caps. I'll remove that so you can charge as many interest rates as you want. I'll get rid of zoning laws there so you can build a parking lot there. I'll allow you to build a business there. I'll allow you to, what else? Oh yeah, I'll remove like environmental protection, so it's more cheaper.
Any incentive,
then
that makes their life easier.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll make promises to both these groups, right? Yeah. So what happens is that once they get into office, they tell their voters, well, I can't fulfill that stuff. That wasn't realistic, Yeah. But like
they did everything else for that guy.
Yeah. So it's like a promise to voters. It's just like unrealistic. It's fantasy, right? Mm-hmm. But like promises to a corporate donor, that's sacred. So there's different values at play here, and again, it's not that person is intrinsically evil. It's just the way that it works. You want to run again, right? Mm-hmm. You got to get money. Yeah. So where do you get the money? You get it from there. Dude,
that's a crazy way. I've never had someone explain it to me in that detail.
Yeah. This is the context and lens how I view the world. That's the context. All right. Okay.
But that was definitely a good way you put it that way, like a good way to put it and describe it, because the government's corrupt, right? Like everybody thinks, it's a corrupt system, but to put it that way, to see how it works, and then realizing you could there are changes you could make that, like you described, that would make it better, like a consensus or something like that would actually help the majority of people instead of like them just saying whatever they want, and then some guys like, I'm not gonna listen to you and go.
Yeah. Like, that's how I like to. That's how I viewed the world. I mean, for a long time, I've been like learning more and more. Yeah, right? You know. So
that's the beauty of it is this constant developing. Like the problems we have only show us like the thinking that comes from that is stuff that, how can I make this better? Questions that come up, like how we live in a world like this, and it's not perfect. It's not how I want it. It's not the best that it can possibly be, but what can I do to make it a better place? What ideas are there that I could seek? Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. I think even if you have no political influence, I'm glad we're still talking about this. And we have the freedom in this country to talk about this stuff and to think what we want to think and to go and pursue anything we want to pursue. That's the best part about it.
It's interesting because like one lecture guy was saying that like he was like, you know, if they allow us to like talk about this stuff, they'll allow it as long as like there's still like they could get paid. You know what I mean? So it's like if you could like rent out a lecture hall to talk about this stuff, so long as like the person who privately owns the venue still gets paid for it. So it's like, you know, they can talk whatever they want. Like there's people who like rent out stuff to people of all kinds of views, even if they're like drastic views from theirs, so long as, you know, they get the money out of it. That's like you know, people will rent out like venues to like KKK members to hold their meetings or something, you know? Because like it's like the money, you know? It's like that's what they
It's just another client.
That's how they view it. They don't really view it like very like, you know, specifically, or maybe they do, I don't know. But like, you know, it's like most of the time it's like money helps.
Money helps, Like money's a big part of this world, man. Like
it is, I mean,
you literally can't live if you don't have money.
Cannot live without, well, most of the time you can't live without money. It definitely opens a lot of doors. I was gonna say there's some uncontacted tribes that technically live without a defined currency system, or like there's people who have lived a certain way for a long time that even despite the world being the way it is, choose to live that certain way. There's this tribe of people in India. I hope I'm not butchering the name. I think they're called the Chua people. I'll definitely double check that later. I don't have my phone on me right now. It's filming. But what they do is that, I'm not advocating everyone have to live like this. I'm just saying this is what they do. But is that basically, right, their people have a belief system that really values the environment, where they have a reciprocal relation with the environment. So not just like the plants and animals, but like the trees, you know,
everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. So like every time they take something, they try to replace it. Yeah. So like that way they're, you know, it's like a sustainable practice. Right. So there's benefits.
That's what we want to do.
But, you know? So there's benefits, sure. But at the same time, it's like the reason they do it is because they have like a value for it, like a cultural value for it. So there was like this interesting quote from one of them, which was that the tiger, like when a tiger eats one of their cattle, they don't feel bad because the tiger is their brother and the tiger was hungry. So I was like, that's an interesting way to look at it.
That's a different way of looking at things.
Actually, they have a motto there. It's here we don't need money to eat. Because they have like beehives and stuff like that. There's like all sorts of crazy stuff there. So I was like, that's interesting, you know.
That they live in a sustainable way.
They live in a sustainable way without like currency as like an incentive, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's interesting.
That's a different way. I think it's good in small populations.
Small pockets of population. It would probably be harder to do. In an urbanized environment, I assume it's harder.
It's way harder.
It's way harder, you know?
The reason why money works is because everybody believes in the money. Like there's not one person. Like you could go around every single place.
You just said it. Money's a social construct.
Yeah,
it is. Like because like David Graeber said this. He said that he wrote a book called Debt: The First 5,000 Years, where he talks about the history of debt and its purpose. And he said that debt, that like we should stop treating money like it's this object and understand it as a way to define our relations with each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way to describe relations.
We believe in it so much that everything we do, like every object that you want to buy is money, is worth something.
Absolutely.
Even a body part after you die is worth something. Like a transplant is worth something.
It's because you know how money is, the US dollar is backed by petrol. You know, it's like the petrodollar, right? And it used to be backed by gold.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to bring it back, the gold standard, the gold and silver standard. So money has to be grounded by something. It's supposed to represent something.
Yeah.
So
unlike Bitcoin now.
Bitcoin's really, you know, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because, actually, because like there's even some communists I know that are actually like, oh, Bitcoin's the way we defeat capitalism, and I'm like,
I mean, it's a good idea for decentralizing.
Yeah, that was how they described it. They said it was like democratizing currency, kind of.
Is visible. Like every transaction is visible on the blockchain.
It's more liquid.
Yeah, liquid.
Or less liquid. I think liquid is like, liquidity is like when you have it on hand.
Yeah, but most people are using Bitcoin as like a stock, and they want it to go up, and then they sell the Bitcoin to get it back into USD to be able to buy shit.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take time for people to get to just use Bitcoin as Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's going
to take a while.
Yeah, that's going to take a while.
Plus this like crash. There's kind of a cycle betwing booms and busts for it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
I mean, right now
crashes
it's
a crash right now. Yeah. Actually, I know a guy, shout out to you, Ian, if you're watching this. Ian told me that he's like, I'm going to wait for it to drop a little more before I invest. Because he's like, that's when you do it. He said you want to invest when they're lower because the options are cheaper for the investment options.
Yeah, that's what stocks and everything.
Yeah,
like,
then he's going to say, once that happens, I'm going to ride the next shockwave up, you know? It's a gamble, though. It's kind of risky, you know? You should have invested like 10 years ago.
Even Bitcoin, I still to this day do not know what it's backed by, like why it goes up. We know why stocks go up because the company does well. They have this newest announcement.
I think Bitcoin is really, really like, it's super abstract.
Abstract, yeah.
You know, it's very much an abstraction because it's digital.
It's digital.
So like technically the majority of currency that exists in the world doesn't exist in like physical. Like it's not physical. Like, you know, billionaires, right? People will say that, you know, they don't actually have $1 billion, which is true. Yeah. They don't actually have $1 billion $1 bills. That'd be crazy. Yeah. What they have, most of it exists in credit format. Yeah. It's like credits.
Most of it's like zeros on a computer.
Yeah, right? That's what it is. You technically could hack their money, but like, that'd be very difficult, but you could, hypothetically. Knock on wood. All right. So basically, right?
Elon Musk listening to this, like, God damn it, you're giving people ideas.
Oh, he knows that's possible. If he doesn't know, that's sad. How does he not know? He's like literally works with computers. All right, whatever. Okay, but my point is that it's like it's not physical, but like that's the point. You could still use it to transfer and stuff like that. Yeah, and like a lot of times. It's so weird. I found this ironic. It's like actually Britney Spears said this. Britney Spears said that when she was poor growing up, that, you know, she had to pay for everything. But when she was rich, right? And she would like go to a restaurant, like they would give her a free dessert. They wouldn't wait. She wouldn't have to wait for a table or anything. Free, and she got free stuff. Everything. And she said to herself, it didn't make sense that once I actually had the money, I didn't have to pay for stuff anymore. And then I thought to myself, it's so interesting because the money is not just, again, it's not just a physical object. It's a way how we define social relations. Yeah. If you have more money, you have a higher social status. You do. People treat you better because they think they could get something out of it, or they just legitimately hold the view that you're better.
Yeah, that you're better. That you achieved something.
You are superior, right? Excluding people who I guess just inherited it. But, you know, Oh, dude, would you be mad at me if I told you I got to use the bathroom?
No, go ahead.
All right, cool.
Should we wrap this up? Actually, we're like,
how far are we in?
2 hours in.
Oh, dang! Yeah, I really hope my phone camera can hold all that. Fingers crossed.
I know. I think it'll go.
Okay, all right.
We'll wrap it up. I think
we'll wrap it up. Yeah,
we're at 2 hours.
We're 2 hours.
Bathroom break here.
Guys, I held it in for a while.
It's already 12:30.
Shit, is it really 12:30? All right,
we came in here at 9:30, I think, right?
Yeah, we did. Like and then like setting up, it took till like 10. Yeah. So we have been here for at least 2 hours, like talking.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Dude, you were right. This was easy.
Dude,
I didn't think. I was so nervous actually. Really? like you reached out to you like, hey, you want to go on, and then because Rob suggested it, and then I told Rob, yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
But like he had your number, I didn't, and I didn't want to approach you because I didn't want you to think that like I don't know.
No, it was all good, bro. Like I knew the second you said like talking, I was nervous or something, like or you were gonna be nervous. I was like, there's no way you could be nervous, because when you start a conversation, and I met you like today in the car, I knew that just if we started a conversation in that car, it would flow through the whole thing. Like, and now you see that 2 hours felt like nothing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I
definitely want to.
We gotta rebook this. We gotta do another thing.
We should definitely do this again sometime. Yeah. Whenever you're down, I'm down. I mean, I'm home for the summer with my rents, with my parents.
Okay, yeah, so we'll do it again for sure. That's gonna be a fun time.
All right, yeah. My name's Hassan.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right.
But thank you everybody for listening. This was a very interesting conversation, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, man. This was when we got to do it again.
Oh, for sure. I'm always down.
And I hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well, and hope you have a great week. Much love. Peace.